If you've ever been ghosted by a seller, or you ever had a perfect lead turn ice cold, or you ever got, I need to think about it, your offer is way too low, I need to talk to my spouse, or worse, if you feel like you've been this close to the deal, but you still got slapped by a hard no, then this video might be the difference between you making $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month. You're about to get front row seat to the exact sales process that took John Lalande from $600,000 in debt to $2 million in wholesale deals every year. It's called NEPQ, Neuro Emotional Persuasion Questioning, and it's a framework that's been created by Jeremy Miner, who's one of the highest paid sales trainers alive, and it's making over $100 million in his new NEPQ program. And now, John Lalande, what he's done is he turned NEPQ into something incredible for the wholesaling real estate space. And this is not just some high-level fluff or just theory. This is the exact objection flipping process that helped him make over $141,000 in less than 3 months. And in this session, you're getting all of it. The frameworks, the scripts, the exact tonality breakdowns, real seller flips, and a live roleplay insights that 7-figure closers are using in 2025. So grab a notebook because this video is worth 6 figures. If you don't know who I am, my name is Esteban Andrade and I've been in the game for 5 years. And in this video, I want to show you the exact step-by-step that Jeremy Miner has created so that now you can implement it in wholesaling real estate. I've been working with over 500 real estate investors and wholesalers for the last 5 years, helping them with lead generation and recruitment. And today, I have one of the best masterclasses that you would take in this year. So let's dive into this right now.
What's going on?
And we're there. What up, what up? What's up, Mr. Brandon, Mr. Carlos?
Esteban, what's
Heidi,
going on, brother?
Alonzo?
Long time no see, huh?
Hey, man. What's going on? All right. There's a lot of people here in the waiting room. Oh my God, like a minute and we already have 30. We're gonna have people coming in and then I'll do an introduction, guys. This is gonna be very important. I love to see faces, right? I love to see that we have humans because soon enough we're gonna have employees that are bots. So I would like to see humans until we can't. All right.
There we go. We got some people turning the camera ons.
Yes, please. Awesome. So we're gonna leave it about 5 minutes for people to come in. In the meantime, I want to know where you guys are, what market you guys are in the US. What markets are you guys are doing wholesaling or flipping? I'd love to know where you guys are located, just to know exactly what type of people we're talking to, and whether you're a wholesaler. Tell us if you're a wholesaler or flipper, or you're like an innovations expert or something, or you just haven't started. Let us know about you yourself. All right.
Yeah, you guys can just drop in the chat. Since there's a ton of you guys on, I think we're at 38 people right now. Instead of having everybody come off mute and then it just be a giant clusterfuck, let's just use the chat. And so drop in the chat what market you guys are in so we know what that looks like. Let's see if I'm able to see it. Are the chats engaged? Are they on? Can you guys use that? There we go. Okay, Kevin. Is Kevin the only one that's active right now? Mufasa, Atlanta. Oh, San Diego and Riverside. You're in my market, man. Better pay attention so you can learn how to outsell me today. Nationwide Novations. I love that. Atlanta. What else? Pinellas County, Hillsborough, Dallas County, Pensacola. Okay, you're in a couple different markets. Taking notes. I love that you're taking notes. Let me know. So we're going to jump in a little bit. Obviously, we're letting people in the group. This kind of helps me know how to tailor this sales process for you guys. Let me know how many deals you guys did in the last 12 months. If you guys just drop in the chat like 0, 1 deal, 12 deals, 15 deals. Let me know where you guys are at. If you guys are all like seasoned pros. Okay, so got some newbies, 36 deals. Let's go, Brandon. What else, guys? All right, letting some people in. Natalie, are you able to let people in? Mufasa did 10 deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, deals for the year. Deals in the last 12 months. That's what I'm looking for. Starting just a handful, 6, 24. Let's go, Victor. 24 deals, doing 2 deals a month on average. Okay, so you guys are doing deals. Are a lot of you guys like, so everybody here is actively wholesaling. Nobody's a newbie, right? I saw like one newbie. Is there anybody that is a newbie?
I'm a newbie.
You're a newbie? Who is that?
Omid.
Omid, what's up, brother?
What's up? I'm a friend of Dawson's.
Okay, cool, man. So we'll continue. Okay, a couple new guys, but most of you guys are doing deals. All right, that will help me. And nobody's doing like over 40, 50 deals a month, a year right now, right? Okay, so that helps me know where we're at.
That's what we need your help for, John, so we can do 45,
That's what
40,
we're here
50
for,
deals.
brother.
Not just
That's
a
what
year,
we're
but a
here for.
month, man.
Let's do it, dude. I'm not there yet. I'm not 40, 50 deals a month, but Esteban will introduce me. We'll go over a little bit about me in a second.
So a lot of you guys here are social media clients or remote Latinos clients, or just people that have, been following. This actually exploded because I'm a big fan of giving a lot of value in terms of we generate leads, and you guys are generating leads. You guys are getting motivated sellers, but there's always an issue of like, these sellers are bad. These sellers suck. These sellers don't pick up the phone. These sellers are giving me like a ridiculous price. Like they're telling me think about it. Um, I'm super pumped to have you guys here today because essentially what Jeremy Miner has done with NEPQ in terms of the sales space has literally changed the way that you speak with people and you make them go through a specific journey that help you close more deals, making more money from the same amount of leads, and doing it in a way that it feels less, it doesn't feel stealthy, doesn't feel pushy, and or it's like you're constantly chasing people, right? So in here today, if you've struggled before with objections, people ghosting you, or felt like you were not converting as many leads as you should, which a lot of you guys are currently going through that, I'm pretty sure. We're gonna have John Lalande, my man right here, who is a 7-figure wholesaler, also an NEPQ trainer, and he partnered up with Jeremy and NEPQ to show you how he ultimately went from 0 to 141K in just 3 months using NEPQ strategies. And I want to really show you guys the real stuff. So in this video, I want to really share a lot. I want John to go all in to as many secrets as possible. I want you to be engaged, to ask questions in the chat, and ultimately take a lot of notes because NEPQ here is it's just starting to come into the wholesaling space, and it's here to stay. I believe it's going to change the game in many different ways. It's going to help you add more revenue because there's many methods to sell, but I think the way that they do it is one of the best ways to approach conversations with sellers. All right, John. So let's take it over, brother.
What's up, guys? So I love that I see some faces. I really enjoy these things when you guys engage. So 2 things. I see Brandon's got a pen. Everybody hold up if you got something to write with, right? Let me see who's got something to write with. Oh, hell yeah. We got a super engaged group today. Okay. If you guys want to get the most out of this, so this took me, 50 hours of just going through and training this to learn. I'm going to try to teach you guys everything that I know in the next like hour and 15, hour and a half. We are going to open it up for Q&A at the end. You guys can grill me with as many questions as you can. But if you just sit there and you're just passively listening, you guys are going to retain about 3 to 5%, and it's not really going to help you out. So if you guys can just write things down, we'll get at least 40 to 50% retention out of this. The next thing is I want to see how warmed up the chat is. So if you guys can just type in engage. This will help me. If you guys can just all type in the chat, engage. I want to see how many people we're going to have engage in this chat. There we go. Engage. All right, cool. So we got some people that are actually here to learn some stuff. If you guys engage in this, I guarantee you will be able to get more information out of this. You'll be able to retain it and you'll be able to use it. Because if I just give you guys the script, I give you guys the sales process, and then you don't actually learn any of it, it's not going to do you any good. My goal here is to change the way that sales is perceived and help you guys learn how to work with human behavior, because as we all know, the current way of selling and wholesaling is just outdated. Everybody's doing the same thing. So I'll give you guys a quick introduction to what we're going to be going over today. It's going to be sales mastery. At the end, we're going to open it up for some objection handling and everything like that. If you guys do not know who I am, my name is John Lalonde. I've done over $2 million in wholesale deals in less than the last 2 years. So a little bit over $2 million in the last 2 years. I'm a licensed NEPQ trainer. Can you guys let me know who has heard of NEPQ already? Just type in me if you guys have heard of NEPQ already. I want to know. Okay, so there's a couple people. You guys, all right. Oh shit, there's a lot of people. All right, so NEPQ is neuro-emotional persuasion questioning. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I became the real estate professional for NEPQ. And then my proudest accomplishment is I'm a proud gringo dad. So Esteban's from Colombia. I actually live in Colombia. I've been able to make over $2 million living virtually in Colombia and traveling the world. That's the best thing about wholesaling, right? Is we're all in this for freedom. And it's been able to give me the freedom to be able to travel, you know, a couple times a year, been able to live out of the country and really get to enjoy my life. So to tell you guys a little bit about how I got into this, I was not a natural at sales. So it actually took me 8 months to get my first deal. I was active duty. I was in the military and I had about $400 or $500 left after, you know, all of my expenses to get started in wholesaling.
Yep.
And I had a 9 to 5. So I want to know like who's still in this position. I was working in the military, not really a 9 to 5, but type in 9 to 5 if you guys are currently working a 9 to 5 right now and you're trying to get your wholesaling business started. I want to know. Okay, so a couple people that's yes, 9 to 5. Esteban, not Esteban. Okay, so a couple people, right? So that was me. Not Esteban, you're not working a 9 to 5, man. You're working a 12 to 12. Cool. So that was me. And it took me 8 months to get my first deal. And over those 8 months, I was spending thousands of my own dollars on marketing. I was talking to like 10 to 20 sellers every single day. Like I was just grinding it out, trying to make this work because I knew I wanted time freedom that I didn't get into the military. And so finally, I ended up getting some traction. And I started flipping houses. And so was anybody wholesaling in like 2020 through 2022? Do you guys remember how easy it was back then, or flipping houses? So Brandon was. So back then, you didn't need to have a sales process. You didn't really need to have good marketing. It was very easy. You could buy a house for the Zillow price. You could put $20,000, $30,000 into it. And then the market would go up so much that you would end up making 15, 20 grand. All right. So that was me. I got into the industry at the right time and everything was great for, you know, about a year and a half. And then if you guys were wholesaling at this time, tail end of 2022, who can tell me what happened with interest rates? Someone let me know what happened with interest rates in the tail end of 2022. Nobody was wholesaling back then. They shot up, right? Yeah, you guys got it. So they went up from 2% all the way to 7%. Now at this point, I had 5 active flips on the market and they were in Southern California. That's my market. And, you know, I don't know, a couple $1 million worth of inventory. When the interest rates shot up, I had some luxury flips and I had to fire sale them. I ended up losing over $600,000 with those flips. And wasn't very smart at the time. I was 100% leveraged. And so I was taking out 90% for the acquisitions and I was raising the other 10% from private money. So needless to say, excuse my language, I was fucked. All right. At this point, I was $600,000 in debt. Flipping didn't work for me anymore. And I was just stuck with a business model that didn't work. So I was looking up bankruptcy attorneys. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had never made that amount of money in my life. So I didn't think that I would be able to pay it off. And then all of these notes were going to be due in the next 12 months. So I got on the phone with a mindset coach that I had, a Tony Robbins coach. And I was telling him where I was at. I was pretty, you know, down in the dumps being about to file bankruptcy. And, you know, he asked me, he's like, dude, is there anybody that's in the wholesaling business right now that's making $600,000 a year profit? And I was like, well, yeah, there's definitely people in the wholesaling business that are doing $600,000 a year profit. And he said, well, what's the difference between you and them? And so I went through and I called some people that I knew that were actually doing, you know, 600,000, $1 million a year. And I asked them what they were doing. And, you know, the first thing I was thinking is it's my systems, it's my processes, but everybody had the same basic process. It's get high quality leads, call them quickly, and then convert them into contracts. I was already getting like pretty high quality leads and I was calling my leads within 3 minutes. I was doing the basic process stuff right. And so that led me to my sales process. And so, before that, I had never done any sort of sales training. I was doing like the 4 pillars, if you guys have ever heard of that. It's like ask them about the condition, ask them about the motivation, the time frame, and then their asking price. And I was just getting the same objections over and over. And everybody would tell me on these calls, like, hey, I've already had this call before. Somebody asked me these exact same questions. And so as I was looking through these sales trainers, I looked at all the industry specific stuff first, and I'm not going to name names, but everyone had the exact same process. It was all condition, motivation, time frame, and then asking price. It was the same thing over and over. I was already doing it. I knew it didn't work. Okay. So finally, I reached out to a couple of friends and then I met this guy. So this is Jeremy Miner. He's done over $30 million in straight commissions, and he's built the largest B2C company in North America for sales. Okay. Just for sales training. And what I liked about his approach was it was completely different from anything that I had ever heard before. Instead of just asking like surface level questions about why are you looking to sell, condition, time frame, and asking price, he was talking about using your tonality to your advantage, right? Sounding like a human versus a salesperson, lowering people's resistance. That's what we're going to get into today. Okay. And so I was $600,000 in debt already. I didn't have any money, but I had a credit card with a $25,000 limit. I took a wild bet on myself and I paid $18,000 to get into his inner circle. Okay. This was December of 2022. And so January in 2023, you guys can see, I didn't make any money. And so I didn't have any money to spend on leads. Like I was dead broke. I just had the leads inside of my CRM. But what I was able to do is I was able to lock up 4 contracts just on offers that I had already made. So I'd already made offers on these people and they didn't work out. But by using the right sales process, I was able to lock up 4 contracts and I made $46,000 in February. Okay. And then in March, I hit $141,000 for the first time in my entire life. I'd never broken 6 figures using this sales process. And I went on to do over $2 million in the next year. I had a goal to pay off the $600,000 in debt in 12 months, and I was able to do it in 6. Okay. Mainly because I didn't have a huge team. My profit margins are super high, and I was able to hit $100,000 a month consistently, basically for the next 2 years. Okay. And so that's what I'm going to teach you guys today. So what I did is I used NEPQ to change my sales process to get these results. And the main thing is I learned how to get sellers into result-based thinking. This is the key to this: result-based thinking versus price-based thinking. So when we're asking sellers very surface level questions about condition, time frame, they are in price-based thinking, right? And we're always going to be just stuck with the laydowns. And so I learned how to get them into result-based thinking. And what that did for me is it tripled my qualified lead to appointment ratio. So all of my qualified leads, I went from 19% to 77%, and I nearly doubled my closing ratio. So where before I was closing 1 out of 169 leads, which is dog shit, by the way. I understand that I sucked. And I got to 1 out of 15 of my closed leads. And I think we've got Watson on right now, who is also using Esteban's lead service. He's about here right now, hitting 1 out of all of his 15 leads, turning into contracts. So that's what we're going to go over today. I'm going to share a Miro board. This isn't going to be death by PowerPoint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a Miro board going over the entire sales process from start to finish. Okay. Let me get this pulled up for you guys, and you guys just let me know if you can see this. Can you guys see my Miro board here? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Let me see in the chats. Okay. I forgot people can come off mute. All right, cool. You guys can see it. So we're going to go over this sales process today. It's going to be much different than what you guys are used to, right? This isn't a 4-pillar sales process where we're asking like the basics. The first thing that we're going to learn today is how to lower resistance with the sellers. So that way they aren't just telling you, hey, I've got 1 million offers, give me an offer or get off the phone, right? We need to lower that resistance by not sounding like a salesperson. We need to take the uncertainty out of our sales process by having tailored questions to tailored avatars. Then we're going to teach you how to create urgency by asking problem awareness questions. We're going to teach you how to prevent objections before they even come up. which is so important, right? Preventing the objections before they come up. From there, we're going to teach you how to get people emotionally excited about the future, which helps get them into result-based thinking versus the price. We're going to go into getting their bottom dollar needs. And this is the one thing that got our average assignment fee from 30,000 to 50,000, getting their bottom dollar needs instead of their asking price. We're going to go through how to uncover deal killers, how to get them to commit, and how to present the offer. Before I jump into this, has everybody had the opportunity to get the free trial in the school community before this? Type it. Have you guys not had it? Co said yes. Okay, so everybody else said no. Okay, I'm glad that we brought that up then. So Esteban got me to do a free trial for the school community. So what we're going to do, I'm going to share your screen, my screen for a second. I'm going to show you guys how to get access to everything that I'm going to be going over today. So we have this Miro board inside of there. I know we've got a couple school members. I see Co, I see Watson. So this Miro board is going to be inside the school community if you guys want to follow along. If you guys want to do something else, let me know in the chat. How many of you guys are calling outbound leads, like SMS, cold call leads? I know most of you guys are doing inbound with Esteban, but type in me in the chat if you're doing like outbound leads, cold calling, SMS. Okay, so inbound and outbound, me, a couple of you guys. Okay, so Esteban will drop a link inside of the chat for you guys to go get this, go get all these resources. If you guys want to just like, do the free trial and then get out, take all the scripts, I'm completely cool with that. All I really want for you guys is to be able to follow along today and see these scripts in practice. Okay, so if you're doing outbound leads, here's what you want to do. You want to go to the classroom, you want to go to the scripts here, and then you want to click on the outbound lead script. Type in inbound if you're doing inbound leads. So this means like PPC, PPL, you're working with Esteban, you're already doing Facebook leads. Okay, so 100% inbound. A lot of you guys, let me see how many people are doing inbound. Just a couple. There's only a couple of you guys doing inbound leads. What's everybody else doing? What's besides inbound and outbound? What else is there, Esteban? I don't know of anything. Nothing. Okay, so everybody's doing inbound. If you're doing inbound, you guys can go inside of the community. You're going to go to the classroom, and you're going to get the inbound lead script. Okay, that way you can follow this process specifically for you. Is anybody doing foreclosures to see if I should even cover this at all? Anybody working foreclosure leads? Can you type in yes in the chat? Okay, so some of you guys are doing foreclosures. Okay, same process. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time today to go into like inbound leads, outbound leads, foreclosures. I can't go through everything. I saw Victor just join the school community. Welcome, man. We have a foreclosure script if that's what you want to focus on, right? So if you're doing outbound leads, you're doing inbound leads, just go in here and pick the script. If you're like me and you're running low on money, okay, so you don't have a ton of money right now to spend on marketing, and you need to work your CRM to be able to close some deals, then you can go, pay the big bucks and work with somebody like Esteban. If you're like me, when I started, you want to go get the follow-up fortune script. All right, this teaches you how to work your leads that you've maybe already given offers on, so you can go back, you can monetize them, and then you can start ramping up your wholesaling business and scaling. Okay, so we have old age leads, we have a follow-up fortune script. If you guys have a setter closer model, like you have lead managers or somebody booking appointments, you can use this SDR script. Okay, so I see a ton of people joining. You guys can all jump in. And again, if you guys want to just take the scripts, you can do that. If you, at the very least, this is what you need to do, is you need to go get the NEPQ full breakdown Miro board so you guys can follow along with me. Okay, so you guys can follow along on the Miro board so you can see the process.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
I want to say something. I didn't know that you were gonna like literally allow all these people like to get this thing for free. I didn't know, dude. That's huge. So we're not gonna take it for granted. Like, thank you so much. And you guys can, just by following a script and framework, like everything's gonna change. But let's continue.
Yeah, and then the reason that people stay, like I'll ask some of the people that are in, like Co and Watson, if you guys get a lot of value out of this and you're like, hey, I want to implement this process, but I need to practice it, we have 2 calls a week in the school community where you can come and actually role play this with me. Okay. So I will coach you guys and I will listen to your sales process. So that way we can make sure that you're implementing it properly, because, you know, I can give you the script, slap you on the butt and say, good job. But at the end of the day, the implementation and getting the reps in is where you get the most bang for your buck. So we're going to jump right into it. If you guys want to follow along, I saw a ton of you guys just join the school community. Esteban just dropped a link for a free trial where you guys can go through and you can follow along on this Miro board. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to cover, without further ado, we are going to jump into it. The first thing that we're going to cover is tonality, tonality mastery. And I'll tell you guys, this is one of the main things that all of the other sales programs are missing, is they don't talk about the tonality. Tonality is the most important part. So everybody that had a pen, I want you guys to write this down. Sales is only 20% what you say. I want you guys to write this down. It's 20% what you say. It's 80% how you say it. Okay. It's 20% what you say. It's 80% how you say it. So while we're going through this process, what I want you guys to hear is the tonality and how I'm asking the questions. Okay. So we've got 4 tonality types. The first one is our curious tonality, when I'm asking a question and I want to sound curious. The next one is our concern tonality. So when a seller gives you a problem, right? They're dealing with a problem and they're starting to open up, using a concern tonality to get them to go even deeper on that problem. Okay. The fourth one is going to be our challenging tonality. This is when we need to hit them with something like an anchor or a consequence question to get them to think about what happens if they do not change. And then the last one is insanely important when you guys are working those highly resistant sellers. This is your playful tonality. Okay, so we can show you guys some examples, but this is your playful tonality. It's like sarcastic and it's human. And if you guys can learn to master the playful tonality, when you get a seller that says, oh my gosh, dude, I've gotten 5 calls a day on this, just give me a call or get off the phone. If you can be playful with them, you will learn how to disarm them and have a real sales conversation. So that's what we're going to cover. We're going to go into the tonality, and then we're going to go into the connection phase. So when we talk about the connection phase, the first thing I want to teach you guys is the psychology behind selling. So our brain is wired to recognize patterns. It's wired to recognize patterns to save energy. So imagine every time you walk down the street, you walk past somebody and you see somebody on the street and your brain goes into fight or flight mode. Like your adrenaline starts spiking up just because someone's walking on the same side of the street. You would be exhausted by the end of the day. So what your brain does is it creates patterns to say, okay, that's an 80-year-old woman walking with a walker. She's not a threat to me. However, if I see somebody with like a hoodie and a mask and they're walking all sketchy and they've got like, you know, their hands in their pockets, that might be a threat. That's a pattern that your brain is conditioned to recognize. And so what we need to understand when we're opening up the call is it takes, and I want you guys to write this down, it takes 7 seconds for the seller to recognize this is a sales call. It takes 7 seconds for the seller to recognize this is a sales call. And somebody let me know in the chat, when they recognize that it's a sales call, what happens to their resistance? Does it go up or does it go down? Let me know in the chat. I want to see if we all fell asleep. Okay, there we go. Everybody's still awake. So it goes up, right? Their resistance goes up. And so I'll tell you guys like a real life example of this. I just had a baby and I was at the doctor with my girlfriend, and some guy, suit and tie, you know, like all buttoned up. He comes up, walking up to me, really aggressive, big smile on his face. Hey, how you doing? Now, my brain created a pattern to grab my girlfriend and put her behind me. And I did that because I didn't know if this guy was a threat. So my resistance went through the roof. Okay, so what I'm going to teach you guys here is how to lower resistance with the seller by not sounding like every other salesperson. So what do most salespeople sound like? They say, hey, Esteban, how you doing, man? Right? That's how most people open up the call. And someone let me know in the chat, if somebody calls you, like be real with me for a second. If I called you right now and I say, hey, Travis, how you doing, man? What are you going to say? Somebody let me know in the chat. What are you guys typically going to respond? Click. Who are you? Right? Your resistance is going to go up. It sounds like a sales call. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to learn how to use a curious tonality, slow down our calls, and not sound like a salesperson. So I'm going to go over an example with an inbound lead. So instead of saying, "Hey Bob, how are you doing?" I'm going to say, "Hey Bob, can you hear me?" Now what this does is it triggers curiosity in their brain. When their brain is in a curious state, it can't be in a resistant state. It's a confused. It's like, I don't know what's going on. So they lean in. "Hey Bob, can you hear me?" "Yeah, who's this?" Yeah, it's just John. It's John Lalonde over at ABC Homebuyers. It looks like you just filled out a form on our website about possibly selling your house on Main Street. Is that right? So I want you guys to notice this is curious tonality. So you'll see here using a curious tonality. This is upward inflection. And so what I'm doing is when I use a curious tonality, I'm triggering curiosity within the seller. Okay, so if I sound like, "Hey Bob, can you hear me?" "Yeah, it's just John over at ABC Company. It looks like you filled out a form on our website about possibly selling 123 Main Street. Is that right?" And I talk fast like that. They get so overwhelmed and they feel like it's a salesperson, because that's how salespeople talk. They talk excited, they talk fast, they're trying to get everything out, right? And so we need to sound like the opposite of that. We need to lower that resistance. "It looks like you just filled out a form on our website about possibly selling your home on 123 Main Street. Is that right?" They're going to say, "Yeah, I just filled that out." Now, from here, the next part of our connection phase is to get them to tell us why are they in front of us. Okay, so this is the first part of increasing our status on our calls. And it's the first part of getting the seller to sell themselves to us versus the other way around, right? So what a lot of salespeople do wrong is they say, "Hey, thanks for giving me a call today. I'm really excited to talk to you." Or "Thanks for reaching out," right? They're thanking the seller for reaching out, but who has the problem? Do we have the problem or does the seller have the problem? Right? The seller has the problem. We have the solutions. Okay. So what I do here is I say, "Okay, and it looks like you found us on Facebook." They say, "Yeah, I found you on Facebook." "Yeah, and I'm curious, what was it about the ad that you saw that caused you to maybe want to look into this a bit further?" Now, what they tell you there is they tell you, "Well, I saw in the ad that you guys can buy the house like quickly and I don't have to do all of the repairs." They are starting to sell themselves to you. This is just the tidbit beginning of them selling themselves to you, right? So we're going to ask them, where did they find us? Or we're going to know where they found us if you guys are tracking that. And what was it about the ad that caused them to look into this a little bit further? Now, if you guys are following along in the outbound script, you can see that the outbound script is a little bit different. So for you guys, that we're going to focus on inbound today because I saw an overwhelming amount of people that are doing inbound leads. So we're going to focus on just outbound to inbound today. But if you guys are doing outbound, you're doing foreclosure, you'll see the script inside of the school community so you guys can follow along with that. Okay. Now the last part of our connection phase, and we're going to open it up for questions at the end if you guys have them. The last part of our connection phase is to set the stage without sounding like a salesperson. We want to lower their resistance even more. So what do most salespeople do? They say, "Yeah, in this first call, it's just really more for me to find out if we're a good fit. And if you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you, then I'll give you an offer. And all I ask for is a hard yes or a hard no." That's what most people are doing. And it sounds terrible if they even have a process to begin with, right? And so what we need to do is we need to downplay the call because we need to get them to open up, right? We need to get them to open up about their real problems. So the way that we do that is we say, "Yeah, in this first call, it's pretty basic, really. It's really just more for us to find out a little bit more about the property, like the condition it's in and when you're possibly looking to sell, just to see if we can do any good for you." Are you with me there? Just to see if we can do any good for you. Are you with me there? Or you might be able to say at the end of that, just to see if this is something we can buy. Okay, so we're going to hit them. I'm going to try to mute everybody. I'm getting distracted. So we're going to hit them with, we're going to pull away there, just to see if this is something we can buy. There's also a way if they say, "I'm just thinking about keeping it. I just wanted to hear your offer. Just give me an offer. I don't even know if I want to sell it." Then in my connection phase, I might say, "Yeah, this first call, it's pretty basic. It's really more for us to find out a little bit more about the property, like the condition it's in and when you're possibly looking to sell, because you might be better off just keeping the house." Now, someone tell me in the chats, I want to know if you guys are getting this. Why would I say you might be better off just keeping the house? Somebody tell me why I dare to say that. There we go. It's a takeaway, right? What other answers do we have? I got one person that knew. It's not salesy. Exactly. right? So if I say, but why would you keep it? Like, obviously you want to sell the property. They're going to start pulling away. I want to pull away and I want them to come to me. Okay. It shows sincerity. Those are all great answers. Okay. So that is our connection phase. The goal in the connection phase, I want you guys to write this down. Connection phase. The goal of our connection phase is to lower resistance with the seller. We want to lower resistance with the seller. And we do that by sounding curious and not sounding like everybody else. Okay. Now I've got a question for you guys. I want you guys to tell me, what do these 3 jobs all have in common? We're about to go into my situation phase. I want you guys to tell me what these are the most stressful jobs according to US jobs. These are the 3 most stressful jobs. Tell me in the chat, what do these 3 jobs all have in common? You guys asleep? There we go. Solving problems, reactive. What else? Somebody always gets it on this, by the way. Tim, you have been on my calls before, bro. You can't cheat. All right. So Tim Morales got it. It's uncertainty, right? And so our goal at the end of the day is to get rid of uncertainty in our sales process. Now, be real with me, guys, because I have been here a million times before I learned a good sales process. How many of you guys get stuck on your calls? And be real, you don't know what to say. So all you do is you go to the condition of the property. Like, I don't know what questions to ask. So I'm just going to start asking questions about the condition because that's what I do know, right? Just 3 people, 4 people, that's it. Everybody else is just closing at like 40, 50% of all their appointments. They just have a dialed in sales process. So 4 people that are there. And so the point of, okay, now we got people that are participating. So the point of the situation phase is we need to create certainty in our process. And if we ask open-ended questions, I remember going through some other sales training. I've spent like, tens of thousands of dollars on other sales training as well. And I remember seeing people asking like, so tell me a little bit about what you got going on with the property, or tell me about why you're looking to sell, right? Right at the beginning. Now, what's that do? That opens you up for a million different directions the seller may go. They may start talking about the condition. They might start talking about their motivation. They might start talking about, Donald Trump in office, right? You never know what they're going to talk about. And so it creates a lot of uncertainty. And what it also does is it creates a lot of inconsistency. So if you are one of those reps where you are having really big months and then really low months, and then really big months and really low months, I want you to write this down. An inconsistent process creates inconsistent results. Okay. An inconsistent process creates inconsistent results. And so what we want to do is we want to have a consistent, repeatable process that we can follow every single time. And so what I do here, if you guys are following along in the script, you guys will see the first question. I'm showing you guys like the high level here. But what I do here is the first question, I want to identify an avatar. So everybody that I've ever met that owns a home, they either live there, someone else lives there, or no one lives there. Haven't met anybody that doesn't fit one of those 3 categories. And so what I ask is, so the house, do you live here? Is it a rental for you? What's going on with it? The house, do you live here? Is it a rental for you? What's going on with it? I am in control of the conversation now. And they say, well, I live here. Now I know if they say they live here, I have this order of questions that I can ask. Instead of having a bunch of uncertainty on what I'm going to ask, I have a predictable process. So what do we know about everybody that owns a home and is thinking about selling it? Who can tell me, what do they all have in common? If they own a home and they're thinking about selling it, type in the chat, what do they all have in common? Besides the fact that they are thinking about selling it. Somebody in the chat. You guys are all asleep or you guys don't know the answer to this. There's one thing. There we go. Relocate. They have a problem. They say it's worth $1 million. We can show you how to disarm that with a playful tonality. You guys got it. There we go. They need another place. Okay. And so I'm going to ask about that. Right. So in my situation phase, oh, the house, do you live here? Is it a rental for you? What's going on? Yeah, I live here. Oh, where are you headed next? I'm going down to Florida. Really? Florida? Why there? Well, I'm trying to be closer to my kids. Plus, California is just getting too expensive. It's getting expensive in what way? Okay. I can start asking them deeper questions because I have a consistent sales process. And so I have these same questions for investors, for vacant properties. It doesn't matter the avatar. I know where I need to go every single time. And what this does is it gives you the confidence that when you call somebody, you know you're going to have control over the conversation and they're not going to take it. Okay. So I'll ask them, where are you headed next? Now, if they say, for example, I don't know yet, there are two reasons why someone is reaching out for a solution, why they would be looking to sell their property. They are either one, running away from a problem, or they are two, running towards a solution. Okay, so once we understand that, we know how to help people. Some people, maybe they don't have a big problem, but they are running towards a big solution, right? A lot of you guys like on the call right now, you might not be struggling financially. Maybe you're crushing it in your wholesaling business, but you're here today because you're running towards $2 million a year, $3 million a year, $5 million a year. That's your motivation. It might not necessarily be your pain point of how you're struggling. And some of you guys are like, man, my wholesaling business sucks right now. I am spending, $10,000 on leads and I'm getting $10,000 back. And this just sucks, right? You're not even worried about $3 million. You're just trying to get out of the shithole that you're in, right? And understand that our sellers are in the exact same place. They're either running towards a solution or running away from a problem. And so when I ask, where are you headed next? They say, I don't know yet. I'm gonna say, oh, well, what came up that caused you to feel like you might want to move? I'm gonna say, well, it's X, Y, and Z. And then we'll start to get into the problems. Okay. So you guys can follow along in the script. You can see all of my situation questions inside of the scripts. So you guys can follow along with your sales process specifically. Okay. The next phase that we go into is one of the most important phases inside of NEPQ. This is our problem awareness phase. So when I talk about problem awareness, I always like to compare this to a story I heard about the dog sitting on the nail. And it goes like this. So there's two guys, it's a guy and his friend. They're sitting in his house and there's a dog in the corner and the dog is sitting there just like kind of whimpering. He's kind of crying. And then finally the friend asks the guy, he's like, dude, why is your dog crying? He goes, oh, well, he's sitting on a nail. He's like, well, why doesn't he just get up? He's like, well, it doesn't hurt him bad enough to get up. And that's most of our sellers. Okay. Most of our sellers are sitting on a nail in some way. They have some sort of pain point if they are talking to you on the phone about selling their property. And so what we need to learn how to do is help them relive that pain. And so I want you guys to write this down. We wrote down connection. We wrote down situation. This is what I want you guys to write down for problem awareness. There's two things we're trying to get out of problem awareness. The problem that we're dealing with. So you're trying to get the problem that they're dealing with, but more importantly, the impact that it's having on them, the emotional impact. So the dog sitting on the nail might know he has a problem, right? But if he's not really feeling the pain or thinking about the pain, he's not going to get up. How many of you guys know somebody that, or maybe you've got someone in your family that, chain smokes cigarettes and they're overweight? Do they know that they have a problem? Do they know that smoking cigarettes and being obese is unhealthy? Yes, right? They know they have a problem, but why don't they change? Will someone let me know in the chat? Why are those people not changing? Why do people not change when they know they have a problem? Someone let me know in the chat. Let's see what we got here. They're comfortable. Okay, that's a good answer. Motivation issues, right? There we go. Dave Friedman, you got it, brother. You're going to crush it. The pain problem is not big enough, right? So for everybody here, like everybody struggles with this. You have a problem, but if the pain isn't big enough to make you change, what are you going to do? You're going to stay the same. You're not going to change. And this is so many of our sellers, right? They might have type in me if you've dealt with this. How many of you guys have dealt with a seller that's in pre-foreclosure, but they're not going to sell until they get the right price? Type in me if that's ever happened to you. The seller's in pre-foreclosure, but they're not going to sell until they get the right price. Me, right? Me, a ton of you got, right? Wild. And you guys are like, why doesn't this guy understand that he's going to lose the house? It's because he hasn't felt the pain yet. He hasn't felt the urgency. And so because they're not feeling the urgency, the only thing that they're thinking about is the price. They're not into result-based thinking. Okay. And so that's what we're going to teach you. I'm going to show you a couple tricks that you guys can use in problem awareness to be able to do that. Let me pull up the chat. I just saw a question. I'm in the community, but can't locate the script. Can somebody tell me how? Yeah, if you guys just jumped on and you guys haven't got the free trial, so you guys can follow along with the scripts, Esteban, if you could just drop the link in the chat for them again. If you go to the classroom, and then you're going to scroll down to scripts. Okay, classroom scripts, and then you're going to see if you're working outbound leads. Who was that said that? Was it Mufasa? Mufasa, what type of leads are you working? Is it outbound? Is it inbound? If it's, let me see what he said. Outbound or inbound leads, Mufasa? All right, too slow. Got it, both. Okay, so for you, if you're doing both, you have one of two options. You can either go into the classroom, you can go into NEPQ 101, and you can look at this Miro board. So this is the full Miro board where it actually breaks down inbound leads and outbound leads. However, if you want to just follow along with the script, you don't have to download just one. You can download a bunch of them. You can just go in the script. You can do inbound and outbound. So you can kind of see there's some nuances between inbound and outbound leads. Okay. So problem awareness. How do we get into problem awareness? Now, what are most people doing? They're saying, so why are you looking to sell the property? Just like that, right? Tell me why you're looking to sell the property. And who can tell me in the chat, what do people typically say when you ask, just like that, why are you looking to sell the property? Somebody let me know in the chat. What are you guys typically getting when someone says, why are you looking to sell the property? For the offer? For the offer, that's a pretty good one. For cash, to move. Okay, yeah, they give you like super surface level answers, right? Or a lot of times they'll just say, well, why is that relevant? I just want the offer, right? They're like, why is that relevant? My mom's kicking me out. That's why they're looking to sell the property. That'd be a fun one, man. I would love to call that guy. Yep, it happens, right? And so they either tell you, hey, I don't see why that's relevant, or they just say, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking to move. I'm just looking to downsize. They just give you a super surface level answer, right? So in my situation phase, I start to ask questions about how long they've been there. How long have they been dealing with XYZ problem? And then one of my first questions is, well, I mean, that all makes sense, but you've been here for the last 6 months. I mean, what came up recently that caused you to feel like you might want to move on from the house now? Okay, so I want to teach you guys something with your tonality here. If I pause before the word now, what are they going to hear? They're going to hear now. If I say, well, what is it about that dangerous neighborhood that caused you to want to change this now? They're going to answer the dangerous neighborhood, right? So that is called precision tonality. It's putting a space before the word that you want emphasis on. And what this does is it gets sellers to think about why they have the urgency to do something now. So that'll be my first question. Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense, but why take care of this now? They say, well, you know, I've been thinking about doing this for the last 6 months, but you know, we finally just started getting so much mold in the house that it's starting to have an impact on my health, right? That might be an example. Okay. I'm going to show you guys how to go deeper in problem awareness in a second. The second one that I go into is, what if the motivation is not clear? So you guys saw at the beginning of my presentation here that my qualified lead to appointment used to be at 18%. Now, why was it 18% and how was I able to get it to 77%? I was able to find motivation when it wasn't apparent in the beginning of the call, right? It seemed like things were going well. The tenant was paying on time. They liked the house that they were living in. Everything seemed fine. So I would just say, this lead isn't motivated. I'm just going to push it off, and you know, I'll do my follow-up process, and hopefully they're more motivated down in the future. And so what I was able to do, and again, my close rate went up on these. So not only did my appointment rate go up, but my close rate went up as well, is I was able to find out the true motivation there, even when it wasn't apparent. And so I want you guys to, if you guys are struggling with this, write this part down. So if they don't sound like they have a ton of motivation, I say this. It sounds like things are going, you know, fairly well for you here. I guess what's come up recently that caused you to feel like you might want to change? So I'll pause and I'll show you guys what I just did. It sounds like things are going fairly well for you here. Now, if I say, oh, that sounds like things are going fantastic, that's going to put in their brain that things are going fantastic, and they might try to keep that identity, right? If I say, well, it sounds like things suck, but they said that, you know, things aren't going that bad, then they're going to get resistant. So I say, well, I mean, it sounds like things are going, fairly well for you here. I'm going to pause. What came up recently that caused you to feel like you might want to change? And then they give me the real problem. Nobody is going to, just brush off your problem if you go through that, right? And so this is really important. Once we get the motivation, we talked about 2 steps that you guys wrote down. Number 1 is getting the problem. Number 2 is getting the impact. Okay, so there's a 3-step process that I want you guys to write down that you can use on anything. The first question is, how do you mean? Okay, so this is how you clarify and probe. So seller says, well, it's just the mold in the house is starting to impact my health. It's impacting your health. How do you mean? It's getting into my lungs, and I just got back from the doctor, and he said if this keeps continuing, like it's gonna be pretty bad. Then I'm gonna ask one more question. This is gonna help solidify the impact. I'm gonna say, how long has that been going on? They're gonna say, gosh, well, the mold really started 6 months ago, and it's just gotten worse ever since. And then I'm going to go for the emotional impact problem. I'm going to find out how the problem is impacting them. If you guys are following along this mural board, and that might sound like this, man, I know if I was in a house and it was starting to impact my health, I mean, that would really scare me. What is that doing to you? They're going to say, oh, it's killing me. Oh, they're going to give you that emotional impact. Okay. We need to get the emotional impact, and we're going to talk about this later. Human beings make decisions based off of emotions, not off of logic. And we talked about getting people into result-based thinking instead of price-based thinking. Okay. Let me check the chats for a second. What's the best price? Are you guys able to hear me? Can you guys type in the chat? Some of you guys said that was cutting out. Is that everybody or is it just me? Yes. Is everybody hearing? Okay. Is that yes, I'm cutting out, or is that yes, you guys can hear me? Yes. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Loud and clear. All right. Some of you guys can't hear me. Some of you guys can. All right. So objection. So next thing we're going to go into, the thing that I want you guys to understand is how to get that problem impact, the problem that they're dealing with, the impact, how it's impacting them. That is, we're going to use that in our objection handle. Okay. So we really need to get that. The next thing is we're going to go into objection prevention. Now I'm running a little bit low on time. So just to see if it makes sense for me to skip through this, how many of you guys want to learn how to prevent objections before they come up? Type in me or let me know if we should skip this. Me? Okay. So you guys, all right. So you guys want me to go through this. Cool. Yes, I'll make it bigger. Yes, Ben. So objection prevention. So I call this an open loop. So anytime the seller tells me something that would prevent me from closing the deal, they say, I'm working with a realtor, I'm talking to other companies, I haven't done anything about this yet. Anytime they do that, I call that an open loop. What an open loop means is I can't close the deal until I close that loop, until I get rid of that objection. And I prefer, I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to handle my objections before I ever present the offer. I don't like doing objection handling later. Okay, so this is the way that we do that. So the first thing that I asked them, hopefully you guys can see it now. I asked them, what have you tried to do so far? So that way, you can get out of your moldy house and finally move into your dream home. Okay, so that's my first question. What have you tried to do so far? So that way you can get out of whatever problem they're dealing with. And I'm going to repeat back whatever they're after. So in this scenario, let's say the seller's in a house full of mold, starting to impact their health. They want to move to their dream home. I'm going to repeat that back. So what have you tried to do so far? So that way, you can move on from this moldy home and then finally go into your dream home. Okay. Now there's you guys can follow along here. There's 4 different objections that we typically get. The first one is they haven't done anything about this. Now that's a problem because if they haven't done anything about it yet, why would they have the urgency now? So we need to build that urgency. The second one is they say, I'm talking to a realtor. How many of you guys are losing deals because they say, I'm just going to go work with a realtor, right? A lot of you guys, right? And so we're going to show you how to overcome that to where the realtor doesn't work. Okay. How many of you guys are losing deals right now to other companies? You're losing deals to competition. Whoever was in San Diego, you better say me, because I guarantee you I'm taking your deals right now, bro. So If you're losing deals to other companies, you can walk through right here to other investors, to other companies, right? That's the other company's objection. Or they might say, this is a lot less common. I'm just going to list it myself, right? But we have that one too. I'm going to go over the talking to realtor because it looked like that was the most common objection that you guys got is, they're talking to a realtor. So the first thing that I do when I want to prevent an objection before it comes up is I ask them, what have you tried to do so far? They say, well, I have talked to my realtor that lives in the neighborhood and they've sold a couple houses. So what I want to do is I don't want to say, oh, well, if you go work with a realtor, like, how are you going to do this? They're going to be like, well, yeah, but I'll get more money. I don't want to trigger any resistance. I need to lower the resistance. So the way that I do that is I say, yeah, I mean, that could be a fairly decent option and it might be the best option for you. I guess just to see if I can help, what's the main reason you're looking at maybe a cash offer versus just listing it with a realtor and taking a gamble that route? Okay. So I want to ask, what's the main reason? Verbiage is very, very important here because if I say, why don't you just list it on the market? What are they going to say? Well, I might just list it on the market. But if I say, what's the main reason you're looking at a cash offer versus just listing it on the market, they're going to tell me the main reason. Again, this is why your words are so important and your tonality is so important here, right? So I want you guys to pause for a second. Let me know in the chat, what type of tonality am I using here? I'm going to repeat this again. I want to make sure you guys are getting this. What's the main reason you're looking at this as an option versus just listing it on the market and taking a gamble that route? There we go. You guys are getting it. All right. This is a high level group, Esteban. Really high level. So you guys got it. Curious tonality. So I need to use a curious tonality there to get them to really open up. So then they say, well, I didn't want to list it on the market because I would have to do all of those repairs. Not to mention, I need to buy my next house in the next 30 days or else I'm going to lose the deposit on it. And then I say, yeah, and I guess like what would happen if you did list it on the market, ended up taking, 60 to 90 days like all the other homes, and then you lose out on your dream home? What happens then? Seller says, well, I would be screwed. Like I would hate for that to happen. And you say, are you willing to take that risk if you didn't have to? All right. Now somebody tell me, what type of tonality am I using here? Are you willing to take that risk if you didn't have to? I'll give you guys a hint. It's not curious. Are you willing to take that risk if you didn't have to? There we go. You guys are getting it. A concerned tonality. Zarina, you nailed it. So I'm using a concerned tonality there. I need to sound concerned for them. If I sound curious, like, well, are you willing to take that risk if you didn't have to? It sounds like a setup. It sounds like I'm setting them up and like I'm asking a rhetorical question. When I use a concerned tonality, it gets them to really think about the question. It shows them that I am on their side. Okay. So I will say, are you willing to take that risk if you didn't have to? They'll say no. And then I close the loop by saying, okay, well, that makes sense why that route, wouldn't be a good option for you. I just overcame that objection before it came up. And I want to overcome it first because what happens if I go present the offer? Then they say, well, I need to go talk to my realtor to see what they can get me. What am I going to do there? Right? I want to prevent the objection first so I can get a hard commitment. I'm going to teach you guys the most important thing at the end of this call, which is how to close the deal before you even present the offer. Okay. The next thing is future pacing. Okay. So when it comes to future pacing, this is where we get the seller into that excited emotional state. So there is a neurosurgeon and his name is Antonio Damasio. Okay, so this guy did a study on people that had a damaged prefrontal cortex in their brain. And what he concluded is if you damage the part of your brain that regulates emotions, you're not able to make decisions. And this actually happened to one of my mentors. He was a sniper in Iraq, and his friend got blown up. And he literally had no emotions. And this guy couldn't decide which one of his shoes to put on first. So he just couldn't put on his shoes in the morning. He had to have somebody dress him. And so this is the importance of getting people into an emotional state. Type in me if you guys have ever done any sort of mindset coaching, like any sort of mindset coaching, even if you've just been on like a Tony Robbins seminar, anything like that. Heidi said, oh my God, yes, this is true. Read that, and oh gosh, you guys are filling up the chat. Read that PowerPoint of habit. Great point. Yeah. So lots of mindset books, right? What do mindset books, like when you're going through mindset coaching, what are they trying to help you do? They're trying to help you change, right? They're trying to help you change your patterns. And the way that they do that is by getting you excited about the future. So if you guys have been through any sort of mindset coaching, what they do, there we go. You guys got it. Shift your paradigm. I would do mindset coaching. Love it. So what they do is they get you to visualize the moment in time when you are that future version of yourself. And I'll give you guys an example. So I bought a Jeep Wrangler. It was a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Now, this was 100% an emotional decision. I already was driving a Tesla. I know Esteban's got the Cybertruck. I'm not that cool, but I was driving my Tesla, right? I didn't need another car. And so I was kind of just shopping. I wasn't like really set that I was going to buy it. The Jeep Rubicons were running like $70,000 at the time. And I was like, let me just go look at them and see. And so I went to the first dealership, and the first guy just pushed features on me. He was like, oh, this is a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. It's got these wheels. It's got this engine, the Hellcat engine. It's got this rooftop. It's got all this stuff, right? And that was all he did. Okay. And do you guys think, let me know in the chat, do you guys think I bought from that guy? Yes or no? He's just like feature pushing the entire time. No, right? So then I went to another dealership. I saw another car. I didn't even like this one as much. But what this guy did really well is when I walked into the lot, he said, so what are you going to be using the Jeep for? I said, well, I really want to go off-roading, and I want to go camping. All my friends are going camping with their trucks. I've got a Tesla. I can't really bring my Tesla up like, big roads. The Cybertruck wasn't out yet, so I couldn't go do that. So I was like, I really want to go camping. Now, what this guy did differently is instead of just pushing features, he got me in the car and he said, look, this one's got a roof rack already built on it. You could just throw one of those tents. I already found it on Amazon, and you could be camping this weekend. You could literally be this weekend camping with your friends. Oh, and by the way, we've got the off-road tires on this one. You know, you mentioned you were going to go off-roading. You can take this on the Rubicon Trail out of the box, just like it is, right? And he got me in that emotional state, thinking about the person that I would be once I own that car. And let me know if you guys think that I bought the Jeep or not. Did I buy the Jeep? Yes, I bought the Jeep. That was my Jeep. Okay. And so that's what we need to do with our sellers. We need to learn how to get them in that excited emotional state, in that future state where they start getting into result-based thinking instead of price-based thinking. There we go. Co got it. Result-based. Co, good to see you, man. I know you were in the school community before this. Love to see it, man. All right. So you guys got it. Yes, I did buy the Jeep. And so that's what we're going to learn how to do with the sellers. And so the first question that I ask the sellers is I say, okay, so let's say you're able to sell the home. You're no longer dealing with all of the mold in the house, and you're finally in your dream home. What are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? Right? And we'll give you a couple of other examples. Let's say it's a vacant property, and maybe the property isn't causing them a bunch of pain, but they're running towards something. So if they got this money, they would be able to finally start taking those vacations, right? You say, let's say you are able to sell this home and you're finally, you have the money to start traveling with your family. What are you looking forward to the most about starting that next chapter of your life? Now, the sellers are going to then tell you, what are they looking forward to the most? This puts them into the emotional state, right? This isn't just transactional, how much you're looking to get for the property. This is getting them into that emotional state. They feel the problem, they feel them sitting on the nail, and now they feel the solution. Okay. Once we have that, so it'll sound like this. What are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? I'll tell you a real life example. Seller says, gosh, it's going to be, finally being able to have my family over for dinner. Right now, our kitchen doesn't even work. And once we're in that new home, like I'm going to be able to have them over for Thanksgiving dinner. I say, gosh, for me, that would be incredible. How's that going to feel? Or I might say, gosh, I know for me, family is the most important part of my life. How's that going to feel once you finally get that time with them? And I'm getting the emotional impact. And so, Esteban, can you mute whoever that is? There we go. So I'm getting that emotional impact. Now, what's really important here is, again, we're getting people to make decisions based off of emotion. We're getting them into that future state. Okay. Once I get them into the future state, this one thing that I'm going to show you guys, this is how I got my average assignment fee. I actually implemented this about 12 months into NEPQ is when I like really cracked the code on this. And so this is how I was able to get my average assignment fee from $30,000 to $50,000. Let me know in the chat who has an average assignment fee of over $50,000. Anybody? Nobody? Do. No, not yet. Okay. Well, that's what we're going to help you. Yeah. $50,000 average assignment fee. And so when we ask in our sales process, oh, 40, that's pretty good, Heidi. That's really good. So when we ask in our sales process, oh, 70K. Okay. So we got some killers in there. So when we ask in our sales process, how much are you looking to get for the property? Where does their brain go? Tell me where their brain goes. When you say, how much are you looking to get for the property? Where does their brain go to make a decision on how much they're looking to get for it? Let's see how high level the group is right now. Who can tell me when you say, there we go, Zillow, right? You guys got it. It's Zillow, it's comparables, it's MLS. Does anybody in 2025, does anybody want to buy properties for the Zillow price? Are you guys making any money buying properties for Zillow prices? No, right? Nobody wants to do that. And so what we need to do is we need to shift from getting their asking price and get them into their seller bottom dollar needs. Okay, their seller bottom dollar needs. All right, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So once we say, gosh, how's that going to feel once you're finally able to get that time back with your family? They say it's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel freeing. It's going to feel uplifting. We go into a process, and I want you guys to write this down. This is one of the most important parts, and you guys can implement this today. Even if you suck at NEPQ and you guys haven't been able to implement it, write this part down. This will help you close deals instantly. I want you to write down needs, anchor, consequence. Needs, anchor, consequence. This one shift, this is helping our students crush it, like increase their average deal size by a ton. Needs, anchor, consequence. Okay. So when we talk about our needs, instead of asking them, how much are they looking to get for it? We are going to say, after we get that emotional impact, they say, it's going to feel incredible. We're going to say, look, and my job at the end of the day is to help you get there. So what do you feel like you need in your pocket after all is said and done so you can put the down payment on your dream home and get out of this moldy house? What do you feel like you need in your pocket so that way you can? I'm going to repeat back what they're dealing with and their future state. So that might sound like this. So what do you feel like you would need in your pocket so that way you don't have to worry about your bills continuing to pile up and you can finally start that next chapter of your life and go travel? Okay, I'm going to put that into that perspective. This is the beginning of getting people into result-based thinking instead of just price-based thinking. And instead of them thinking about the Zillow price, the Zestimate, the comparables in the area, I'm asking them how much do they need, right? And once I was able to learn how to do this and get their bottom dollar needs, I'm getting sellers that are giving them their needs $30,000 under my MAO, $20,000 under my MAO, because I'm getting those bottom dollar needs. And I'm getting it when they're in their emotional state. So you guys tell me in the chat, when are they likely to give me the best discount? Is it when I just ask them a random price? Or is it when they're at that emotional state, when they're excited about the future and they really feel the pain of where they're at? Which one is it? So you guys let me know in the chat. Is it when I just ask them the price, or is it when they're in that excited state? We got the chat. Is everybody asleep now? Or are you guys just typing right now? Let me know in the chat, which one do you guys feel like it is? When they're in the, there we go. Now we got you guys awake at that excited state. I want to make sure that you guys are getting this now. So when they're in that emotional state, so we need to get them at that emotional state. Now, once we get those needs, I then anchor on the needs. Instead of anchoring on the Zillow price or throwing out some random number, like a lot of sales trainers are teaching, you just say like, hey, let's say that, all the offers come in at $60,000. Like, what would you do? They're just going to say, oh, I would never do that. Right. I'm going to get their needs and I'm going to anchor on those. Okay. So what that sounds like is, so what do you need in your pocket after all is said and done so you can put your down payment on your dream home and you don't have to worry about this moldy house anymore? They're going to say, well, I need $40,000 for the down payment and at least another $40,000 as a cushion to hold me over for the next year. Then I'm going to anchor on that. I'm going to say, and, let's say because of all the work that needs to be done, the mold and, the way the market's going right now, all the offers end up coming like lower than that. Like instead of like the $80,000, they come in at 60. Would you still be able to buy that next house so you don't have to worry about the mold poisoning anymore? Would you still be able to buy the next house so you don't have to worry about the mold poisoning? Instead of just saying, would you take it? Would you accept that? I'm going to say, would you still be able to buy the next house so you don't have to worry about the mold poisoning? Now, at this point, they're going to start thinking about that. And they'll go one of two directions. They'll say, yeah, I could still buy it at that. And then okay, well, that's your needs, right? Or they might say, no, I wouldn't sell it at that. If they say, no, I'm not going to sell it, they're saying, I'm not going to sell for your anchor. You need to hit them with a consequence question. So again, needs, anchor, consequence. And the consequence question sounds like this. Yeah, and honestly, like keeping the property is an option that's on the table. I guess have you considered what would happen if you did stay here, the mold ended up getting worse, and then God forbid it starts really impacting your health? Gosh, yeah, I guess if that happened, I'd really be screwed. Are you willing to settle for that? No, I'm not. Okay, so with the $60,000 that we said, I mean, would that be enough so you don't have to deal with that possibility anymore? Yes, that would be enough, right? I'm getting needs, anchor, and then I'm going consequence. Okay. So that is how I was able to get my average assignment fee from 30,000 to 50,000. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you guys, the last thing is how to close deals. And if there's anything you guys take away that you can implement today, it's this needs, anchor, consequence, and then it's getting the commitment. So type in me in the chat right now. Be real with me, guys, because I know I train sales. I know what you guys are dealing with. Be real with me. How many of you guys give an offer and then at the end they say, I need to think about it. I need to go talk to a realtor. I need to go talk to another company, or they give you some sort of objection? Type in me if that happens to you. There's only 2, 4, 5 people, then I know we're all asleep. Okay, so there's like 10 people in here. So what I'm going to show you guys today is, okay, let me talk to my wife, right? All of those things, okay? What I'm going to show you guys now, this is the last part of our process, is how to get a commitment. So that way, when you get them their bottom dollar needs, 100% that they are going to sign that contract. There's no objections after that. Instead of just spraying and praying, throwing an offer out, and then they say, well, let me think about it. Let me do this. We're going to show you how to lock it up on the spot, knowing that it's going to get accepted. So once we go into the deal killers, once we go into the needs, we get the needs. Let's say we got $60,000. So we got them down to that. They said they need $60,000 in their pocket. Maybe they owe 500. That puts us at 560. Okay. I'm going to ask them about their time frame. So when ideally would you like to be in your new living room of your dream home? They're going to say, well, I would like to be there in the next 30 days. Now I'm going to ask them, okay, and all of your stuff, are you going to be able to move that out in the next 30 days? These are like my minor deal killers, right? And then I'll ask them, well, who else would want to know that you're selling the house? So this is where that would come up. If you guys want to hang on and talk about this at the end, I can show you guys how to overcome a partner objection. If they say, oh, I need to talk to my wife. But if they say I need to talk to my wife, I can go through my objection handling process to get the wife on the phone before I ever present the offer. So that way I know when I present the offer, that thing's getting accepted. Okay. So I go through deal killers. I go through time, influencers, and stuff. And then if it's a landlord, I ask them about their tenants. Okay. Once I do that, I've uncovered all of their deal killers. This is where I close the deal before it even comes up. It sounds like this. So let's say I can get you the $60,000 you said you needed, so you don't have to worry about the mold anymore and you can finally move into your dream home. We can do that in the next 3 weeks, like you said, and then we help you with all of your stuff. If we're able to do all of that for you, what would be your biggest concern at that point? Okay. If we're able to do all of that for you, what would be your biggest concern at that point? Now, somebody let me know in the chat, why am I asking that question? What would be your biggest concern at that point? Somebody let me know in the chat, why am I asking that question? Pain point? What else? What else do we got? Trial balloon. Ben, what does a trial balloon mean? Future state. You guys are close. Let's see if anybody gets it. Don't be shy here, guys. If you guys haven't been participating in the chat, this is the time that I want you guys to start participating. I want you guys to start engaging. I want you guys to start actually engaging to see if you're getting this. Trying to find buy-in or objections. There we go. Okay, so Ben got it. I just didn't know what that meant. I'm pulling out any final objections. Okay, now that everybody's engaged, you guys are getting it. So I am pulling out any final objections. What else would come up that I can overcome now so I don't have to worry about getting it after I give the offer? I want to overcome everything, right? Now, I've already done my objection prevention. I've gotten rid of the big ones, talking to a realtor, talking to other companies. I'm not doing anything right now. I've overcome all of those. And then I've overcome the little deal killers, right? Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with all of my stuff, or I don't know if I could do this in the time frame that you're telling me. I've overcome all of that, right? And so now what I need to do is figure out, is there anything else that I missed? And so I say, so let's say I can get you the $60,000 that you needed. So that way, you can finally move out of this moldy home and move into your dream home. We do it in the next 3 weeks, or repeat back the time, and then any other deal killers. We do it in the next 3 weeks, and we help you with your stuff. If we're able to do all of that, what would be your biggest concern at that point? And I do not move forward until they say nothing. When they say nothing, I say, we covered everything. There's nothing else you could think of. They're like, no, you covered everything. You got my needs. You understand my pain. You understand where I'm at. You understand what I'm looking for. Now you're just providing the solution. Okay. So you say nothing. They say, no, you've covered everything. Then I ask my last closing question. So what would you want the next steps to be? And I let them to tell me, I would want you to send over an agreement. Or sometimes they might say, what are the next steps typically? And I can answer that question for them. But I do not move forward. If you guys look and you guys are following along the mural board, do not move forward until the seller says, I want to move forward. When it's their idea that they want to move forward, that they want to sign the contract, they are committed to signing that contract. They gave you their word. They are committing to signing that contract. Okay. What most people are doing is they're just throwing out an offer. And then the seller says, well, I need to think about it. I need to do this. And there's a million objections. And now you're just in a boxing match, right? I don't like being in boxing matches. I want the sellers to sell themselves to me. Okay. So once I do that, they're going to say, well, I'd want to send over an agreement. I say, okay, well, if that's the case, here's what I can do. I'm going to go back to my team. I'm going to outline everything that we just discussed, the $60,000, the 3 weeks, and helping you with your stuff. And if this does look like something we can do, I'll outline an agreement just explaining everything that we just discussed. I'm going to go through it with you. We'll get it authorized, and then we'll start your chapter for the next chapter of your life, or we'll start the process to get you to the next chapter of your life. Would that help, or how would you like to proceed? Yes, that would help. So now I am going into my assumptive close. Okay. So the way that I do this, I'll go off. I'm going to move the screen over here. So the way that I'm doing this at this point is I'm just going for the close. Hey, I've got you all of the things that you said. We got you the time frame. We got you the price. We uncovered the deal killers. We prevented all of the objections. If I was able to do all of that, what would be your biggest concern? Nothing. What would you want the next steps to be? Send me over an agreement. Okay, if that's the case, here's what I'll do. I'll go type up an agreement outlining everything that we just discussed. And then once we go through that, I'm going to read it with you. We're going to get the agreement authorized, and then we'll start talking about the next steps. Would that help? Yes. You go through, and then like a little tweak that I might have at the end is I never go back and give them the full 60,000. I start a little bit lower and I'll let them work me up just so they don't feel like it was that easy. So that's our NEPQ process. If you guys want help, like, first of all, were all of you guys, did you guys like that? Did you guys get it? You guys all following the process? We went over a lot, and I was actually surprised at how fast we were able to do it. How fast was that, Esteban? I lost track of time.
I thought it was gonna be like 3 hours, but we have very high level people here, and it was good interaction.
Yeah, you guys were engaged and you guys were getting it, so I was able to just move through this pretty fast. Obviously, if you guys need more help implementing after this, you've got the school community. You guys can show up on the next 2 calls completely for free. We're gonna have a call on Wednesday. We're gonna have a call on Friday. You guys can show up to those completely for free and start implementing some of this process. Co said the role play helps a ton. I really like it, and I'd like more training. I don't know who iPhone 109 is, but if you want more training, all of that is inside of the school community. We've got Watson, who's inside of our group, Co's inside of our group. Watson's using Esteban's leads right now and this sales process, and he's crushing it. Okay, like that's like the perfect stack. All it comes down to is really high quality leads and a really good sales process. That's all it is. That's all wholesaling is. High quality leads, dialed in sales process, and hitting 100K a month or more is insanely easy once you have those two things dialed in. Cool. Oh, Adam. Yeah, Adam, if you want to jump in, man, you can just jump in the school community. You guys can ask me any questions that you have. I do a Wednesday call, and if you guys want to hop on Friday, we've got some really high level guys role playing, and I'll coach you through on that as well. So,
Yeah.
questions. Let's open it up for questions. Yeah, Co, you can get your VA to participate. That's not a problem.
How can I get my team access to school?
So, school community is individual. If you jump in and shoot me a message, I can. How big is your team?
We've got 2 acquisitions now, but we're hiring
Okay.
more. So,
And how many VAs? Any?
well, everybody's working virtually, but nobody's
Yeah.
offshore right now. So,
Okay, so all in person. And what's like roughly revenue numbers for you right now?
it's inconsistent, but we're doing between 300 to half a million a year. So
300 to 500. And do you know where the inconsistency is coming from right now?
the high turnover on acquisition side and just having our acquisition process dialed in.
Okay, shoot me a message in school. On the Wednesday calls, I'll go over, I can send you a video of the hiring, onboarding, and retention process. Because typically, like at the $300,000 to $500,000 mark, that's the bottleneck is hiring, onboarding, and retention. Because what happens a lot of times, and maybe you've experienced this, is you get a guy, he comes in and he crushes it, and then he has like an emotional wave where he starts to spiral. And so what I mean by that is maybe they have a bad month and then they get in their head and they have another bad month and then they're like, I can't make my bills meet and I need to go somewhere else. And so that's typically what I see at that like 3 to 500K range. Is it 300 to 500K a month or 3 to 500K a year?
A year,
Okay,
but
yeah, I just want to make sure.
we had super high turnover last year.
Okay,
And 86% of it was performance based.
yeah,
Within the first couple of months, just people weren't able to lock it down. So that's when we hired Esteban and his crew
okay,
to help
yeah.
us find talent.
Oh, good. So you're already working with Esteban. I can show you some like some tricks and tips to help them retain and actually implement the information as well. Just shoot me a message. Have you joined school yet?
I just joined it. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, and when you get in there, just shoot me a message. I'll show you a Loom video, and if you can just shoot me a message of exactly what you're dealing with, I'll be able to help you out with that specifically.
perfect. That's awesome. Thanks, John.
Yes, sir. What else we got, guys?
Is this related to NLP to some degree?
To some degree. So the way that Jeremy founded this process, and I just took it. I realized it didn't necessarily directly correlate to real estate investors, so I put my own spin on it. But Jeremy went through NLP. He went through like hundreds of thousands of dollars of different programs. And so there is some NLP there. So like the verbal pacing. You saw when I did the verbal pacing where I was like, yeah, so what came up recently that caused you to feel like you might want to sell now? That's NLP. So I'll tell you what that's doing. When I ask a question and I pace it out, it causes them to slow down and actually think about it. Versus when I just say, what was it that came up recently that caused you to want to sell now? They're going to give you a very knee-jerk reaction. So there are little bits and pieces of it that do correlate, like they do come from NLP, but NLP limits you to just that, where this goes a layer deeper with the psychology of being able to frame sellers in the way that you want them.
Great, thanks.
Yes, sir. What other questions
John-
do you guys have? That was a good one.
John, I wanted to take us a minute before Watson has to go. Kind of like ask him a few questions, kind of like where was he before doing NEPQ, right? And then getting real estate into NEPQ into real estate for him to closing like at the rate that he's doing, with obviously your help and so on. So Watson, what's going on, brother?
Hey guys, how's it going? Glad to be
Yeah,
on.
so Watson's in our advanced inner circle group right now, and he's using Esteban's lead services, and the
Like
dude's a
this is the
killer.
perfect marriage. I've got my coach and I've got my inbound lead source all on one call.
We love it, man. So
Appreciate
tell
the
us a
both of
little
you.
bit about what has your experience been like, both with the leads coming in and then matching it with this process.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to improving how much revenue you make on with your wholesaling, the first thing you have to tackle is your sales process. So I knew that in 2023, going into 2024, that was going to be my main focus, really getting better at negotiating with distressed sellers. So my first investment was in that sales process. Now, because of going through NEPQ, mastering tonality, getting used to, dealing with the objection handlers and working with John directly, I was able to make enough money so that I can start investing in getting inbound leads. And that's where Hustle Media comes in and Esteban comes in. So for me, it was just tackling the bottlenecks in the business. First, starting with my sales process, because that's what I can control, and then using the results and the revenue that I got from there to invest into the inbound leads. And John, you asked me earlier, what's the contract leads to contract ratio?
Leads to contract.
Yeah, so we're at 70 leads so far since I've been starting to work with Hustle Media, and we got 5 contracts.
Oh, what is
70
that?
leads.
I'm not good at math. What's 70 divided by 5? It is 14. 14 leads to a contract.
14 leads
Damn,
to a
guys.
contract. Yeah.
Uh,
And we're well over $50,000 in revenue.
And you just started with Hustle, right? Like
Yeah, a couple months ago, December. That's when we got
damn,
started
dude.
with Esteban. Yeah.
50K
So I'm super
just
grateful for
off
you
of them.
guys, both you, John, and Esteban. Yeah.
Dude, well, you put in the work, man. By the way, Watson is a professional salsa dancer. So if you guys also want some help salsa dancing, I'm just trying to
I got
pressure
you.
him to come out in Colombia, come dance with me.
Don't worry. I'll come out to Colombia, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we got to do it. But yeah, you guys can reach out to Watson and school or in the Esteban's group. I really love what Esteban's doing. I think he's the highest level marketer in the space. And there are so many people that try to get in the space, but they don't really invest in themselves. Watson's investing. He just got back from Hormozy's group and spent, I don't know, what, $40,000 to get into that, $30,000. And so constantly just finding other ways to help you guys. So good leads, good sales process, guys. That's really all it is to get to 100K or more a month. We've got students in our advanced group doing 500K a month. And it's all comes down to good leads, good sales process. That's it.
Yeah.
What else you guys got?
I think that's it, right? Or no? Zarina had something. Curious. How can you build
Curious.
versus having cash pops and still in the wholesale when scaling when asset classes? What?
Serena, can you come off mute for a second and clarify that question? I'm curious how you can build wealth versus having cash pops and still wholesale. I don't
Yeah,
know what a
hey,
cash.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was talking, I think I'm having some internet issues. That's why I was trying to type, but it butchered. So
Okay.
sorry about that.
No
Okay,
worries.
so what I was trying to ask is that wholesaling is great, but the thing is, how do you make that sustainable? And when do you pivot to different asset classes, right? So, for example, I just started wholesaling. Well, I've been doing it on the side. I have a different business. I'm a wellness clinic. I have a wellness clinic, so I've done that for 20 years and it's time consuming. So now I'm focusing 100% on real estate and I want to build this very successfully and I'm very focused, but I'm also thinking long term. So
Yeah.
with wholesale, you make 50 grand, 70. I've wholesaled at 70 grand. That's the highest that I've done. It's great, but how can that be sustainable? So how do you build wealth versus just the
Sure.
cash pops?
Yeah, so I've bought over 100 rental units over the last couple of years, just wholesaling as well. And so there's two things. One, if it's, you said sustainable, like, are you having big months and then low months? Is that what you're
Yes.
dealing with?
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started. So, month of January was great, and
Yep.
then May will be great again. So you were
Okay.
talking about that inconsistency. I'm
Yeah.
going to revisit my sales skills too. Thank
Yeah.
you. But yeah.
Yeah. it's an inconsistent process creates inconsistent results. So until you get a consistent process where you go through the same sales process every single time and you're consistently closing 20, 30 to 40% of all of your offers into contracts, you're always going to have those like wave tops, right? Where you're spending a bunch of money and then you're waiting on your deals to close and you're like, oh, I can't spend anything until this deal closed. Okay, cool. My deal closed. Now I'm going to spend a bunch of money. And then you spend a bunch of money and then it happens again. And if you want to break out of that cycle and create some predictability, it has to be the predictable process first. Now, that being said, once you create a predictable process, the best thing about wholesaling is you're already in front of discounted properties every single day. And so you can just buy them. And so you can start learning sub two, you can start learning, seller financing, and you can start buying your rental properties on the side. And that will give you the freedom to where if you ever want to shut off the wholesaling business, you've got rental income coming in. And so that's why most people get into, at least for me, I got into wholesaling because I was like, I want to be in real estate. I want to be a real estate investor, but I need to make some active income first, right? I got to be able to make money to pay my bills and I got to stack cash and I just got to buy rentals. So to answer your questions, Arena, and my priority of focus, my first thing is stabilize my wholesaling business. Get it to where it nets, 30, 40, 50K a month. And then once it's netting 30, 40, 50K a month and I'm doing that consistently, I've got my reserves put away. So if I have a rainy day, I'm still good. Then what I start doing is I start buying rental properties. I start doing sub two deals and I start stacking I don't want to say passive income because I have a property manager, but she still calls me when people die in my properties, which does happen like more than you guys would think when you get like up to 100 units. But it's relatively passive, right? So that's what I would start doing. And my personal strategy is I don't pull from my rentals right now. I put everything into a reserve account. And whenever I need to pull from it in the future, when I retire, then I'll start doing that. So that's the best answer I could give you. Is that helpful?
Yeah, follow-up question on that. Time frame. What does that look like? Or what did that look like for you?
2 years. Well, I've been really since I invested in NEPQ, that's when it took off. So before that, I was in the, roller coaster. I was flipping houses, the market crash. I lost everything. I lost more than everything. And then I had to rebuild, and I've been rebuilding over the last 2 years. So I've heard people doing it faster. I've heard people getting to 800K a month in 12 months. And, there's some people that do it slower. So it really just depends on how much you can dedicate to actually fixing your sales process, getting good, high quality leads. The faster you can do that, tackle those two bottlenecks, the faster you'll be able to get there.
Fantastic. Thanks, John. That's
Yeah.
very helpful. Thank you.
And I think you joined the school community already, right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll see you in there. And if you want to ask me any further questions inside, I literally when I'm in bed at night, I just respond to questions. So whatever you need help with, just shoot me a message.
You
And
probably shouldn't have said that. I
help
might
you out with your
bombard you with a lot
process.
of questions now.
That's what I'm here for. I like it. It actually, I've got my wholesaling business. This is my passion project. I love teaching sales. I love helping people scale their business. So yeah, hit me up whenever you need. What else do we have, guys?
There's a question by Haiti about doing virtual wholesaling. Look, I think doing phone sales, ultimately will give you more confidence about doing virtual wholesaling because she's asking whether you go in person or not. So how does that look like?
I have not left the country besides vacations where I go into the US to hang out with my family and stuff like that. I've built the last $2 million in revenue that I did it from my office in Colombia. And so you can definitely do it. I will say one of the things to consider is typically your close rate is a little higher in person and your contract to close a little higher in person. So if you want to get that sort of conversion cycle up, going in person can help you, especially if you're not the best on the phones right now. But if you become a savage on the phones, then I can, I outperform my reps that are going in person and I'm just good on the phone. So the better you can get at sales, the more freedom you have to just be on the phone or do Zoom calls and stuff like that versus being in person. But you can build your business. This is what I love about wholesaling. You can build your business around your lifestyle. If you want to be in person, you want to run a team and you want to have an office, you want to have a bunch of people like Brandon's got like a bunch of people stateside, even if they're virtual, you can do that. If you want to build a big team, you want to have your own company, like you can do that. Or if you want to have kind of a lifestyle business, like I choose for the lifestyle, I like to eat lunch and dinner with my kid and my family every day. That's what I do. I do virtual. Whenever I'm not working, I go hang out with my son. And that's what's important to me. Maybe I'd scale faster if I was in person, but for me, I don't care. So it's really like build the business around your lifestyle first. Don't build your lifestyle around your business. Who was that? Heidi? Heidi was asking me about $100 million offers. Yeah. Esteban and I are very big fans of Alex Hermosi. We both went to his weekend event. How do people say
John?
it?
It's Haiti or
Cool. Haiti
Hey,
or
I had a
Heidi?
question.
Yeah, go ahead. Who was that? Somebody asked me a question.
Omid right here.
What's
So
up,
I had
bro?
a question. So I'm 17 and I'm trying to get into real estate. And I've
Fuck
been,
yeah.
yeah, dude. So I've been doing it. I've been working with a friend of mine. His name is
Okay.
Dawson. He's been doing tons of deals. And so I was just wondering, how do you kind of like find like build time out of your day to kind of invest, like to spend time on real estate? Because I mean I've been doing it where like I take bathroom trips while I'm in class and I call up agents and or
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, so or doing that or just like after school or in the car. But like because I work a part-time job at In-N-Out just to have
Okay.
like a like some kind of income. Because in the future I want to have rental properties and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I want to do fix and flips, but I want
First of all, bro, when I was
sorry, go ahead.
17, I hadn't even thought about building wealth. I didn't even start thinking about building wealth till I was in my mid 20s. So that's awesome. You're light years ahead of me.
Oh,
The
thank you.
first question I would ask you is if you could generate enough income, would you still stay in college and work at In-N-Out?
No. So the thing is I wouldn't like after my like when I get my first deal, I'm immediately gonna quit In-N-Out and just go full in on real estate because
Okay, well then what's preventing you from getting your first deal is the biggest question.
it's just because I've been calling agents, we're between leads right now, and all that. I'm JVing with a partner of mine. His name is Dawson. I don't know if I think he's in this
Yeah, yeah.
call. Yeah, so I've been JVing with him, and so I'm just working on getting my first deal, and because I call agents looking for off market leads,
Yep.
um, and so yeah, I mean, I
So
guess
we
go ahead.
Yeah, we do that too, actually. We don't do it a ton, but I mean, we'll bring in like 200 to 300K a year off of calling agents as well. Did
Hmm.
you join the school community yet?
No, no. So I literally had no idea about you guys. I just
Oh,
got
okay.
recommended by Dawson, so I just want to.
There's a link in the Yeah, there's a link in the chat. This is where I would start for you is
Okay.
if you go to I want to say it's uh the 101, Wholesale 101.
What's the
There's a
101?
course inside of here called Direct to Agent.
Okay.
So, dude, we barely put any work into this, and we're able to clear 6 figures a year, calling agents as well, and
Okay.
it doesn't cost any money. Um, go go once you sign up for school, shoot me a message, but make sure you go look at this direct to agent course. This
Mm-hmm.
breaks out our process of how we are doing SMS, like actually reaching out to agents. They're reaching back out to us. We have our script in here where you can go in and actually talk to the agents
Okay.
and get deals consistently. So that's what I would do if I were you. I'm guessing, working at In-N-Out, you're probably kind of like me when I was in the military. You don't have a lot of money to spend on leads right now.
No, I don't have much money to spend leads, and plus my parents are like, you don't spend a dime on this guru stuff and all this and all that. I'm like,
Yeah,
and I mean, they're millennials, they don't understand, but I mean,
yeah.
I'll do whatever it takes. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so
go
for
ahead.
you, man, I would go through and I would sign up. I would go through the Agent Direct Masterclass inside of there,
Mm-hmm.
go through the process, and then once you're done with it, shoot me a message and let me know where you're stuck or if you have any questions. I think
Okay.
we can get you your first deal within the next 30 days. And if we can get you a
Really?
25, 30K rip, yeah,
Oh
dude, with Agent
shit.
Direct, yeah. Get you a 25, 30K rip, get you enough to start investing in something like Esteban's leads. And then
Mhm.
once you have Esteban's leads combined to with a good sales process, that's where you really take off. The
Okay.
longer you're working like just the kind of like the low quality leads, they're good. They can get you a really good return on ad spend. The
Mhm.
problem is the cash conversion cycle is a lot longer. So you have to
Okay.
spend money, like if you're cold calling, typically you have to spend money for 3 to 6 months before you really monetize those. Direct mail, kind of the same thing. Whereas like inbound leads are more high intent, especially
Mhm.
like, Watson just talked about, he just started and he's already done $50,000 in the last 3 months working
Really?
inbound leads. And so this is, let's get you a good like $25,000 rip on
Mhm.
the direct to agent. And then once we have that
Okay.
direct to agent, you have your deal. Now you start investing into some marketing.
Mhm.
And I would probably also tell you put like $10,000 away just so in case you don't get another deal, whatever ends up happening, like save some of that for a safety net because you're 17, bro. Like if you can set yourself up for success, dude, by the time you're my age, I'm 30 years old, you're gonna be a fucking multimillionaire if you can just
Sure.
stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, my parents have the mindset of just like me going to college, and I mean, I've always been good with my hands, and like I fix and flip dirt bikes and trucks. I'm about to go buy a truck right now because I found a
Yeah,
good
but
deal.
are you gonna let your parents' mindset stop you from finding success?
Nah, because I've seen what it does to people, and
All
just trying
right.
to be a people pleaser and whatnot. So that's why I'm starting right now. And so because right now I have the most time, and
Yeah, man.
so I mean I'm gonna do it over summer. And if it scales up, then I'm just gonna keep going. Then yeah.
Yeah. The only danger with time is you can have all the time in the world and not know the right things to work on.
Hmm.
And so, like for me, like it took me 8 months to get my first deal because I didn't know what I should be doing. I had time. I was going through, I was texting, I was, calling people and spending money on marketing, but I didn't know the right things to say, the right questions to ask. I didn't know the right steps. And so, man, if I found that when I was 17, if I was in a call like this, I can't imagine where I'd be now. So you
I
just have to
mean.
make sure you don't let that mindset get in your way. Go
Mhm.
do the direct to agent. Let's get you a 25K win. And then
Okay.
once we do that, then you'll end up crushing it. But yeah, shoot me a message as soon as you get in the school community.
Yeah. Where do you want me to shoot you a message? Is it in the
In
school?
school. Yeah.
Okay.
So once you guys sign up for school, what you guys can do here, I'll just share my screen.
Mhm.
You'll see some of you guys have already messaged me. There's like 3 of you guys that messaged me so far. Um, so a couple of things that we didn't go over so far is right here, you can just direct message me. So Seiko,
Okay.
Brandon, you guys are already messaging me. You also have a bunch of other wholesalers in here. There's like 150 wholesalers right now that are 151 active wholesalers doing deals. So if you guys want to like post your wins, contracts, like people are always posting wins inside of here. You can post calls for me to review with you. So if you guys are
Okay.
like, hey, I had this call, but I didn't know what to do, make sure you record it. You can post it in here. If you lock up a contract, you don't know what to do, you can JV. And so there's people that you can JV with inside of here, or you can just ask questions. So like people ask questions and other people in the community answer, or I'll answer as well. But if you want a direct response from me, just message me right here and I'll be able to help you out.
Gotcha.
That link should be right there in the chat if you need it.
Okay, yeah, I just opened the link about. I'll save it and I'll do all the process stuff on it.
Perfect. What other
Gotcha.
questions you guys have? I'm excited for you, Omen.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I look forward to working together. All right.
Yeah, me too, man.
Thank you.
Let's go. What else, guys?
I think that's there you go. I think everyone loved it. If you guys loved it, give me a fire emoji, please. I'd love to know that you guys are giving some love to John because honestly, he's doing a really good stuff for the space. The space really needs it. Give me a fire emoji. Code, Co is writing, typing fire emoji. That's funny. Um, all right, dude, John. Thank you for also choosing Colombia to live and grow your family.
Dude, it's
Uh,
the best, man.
is your wife Colombian?
Yep.
Okay,
Colombian and Venezuelan. She's a mix.
nice, nice. That's awesome. I'll probably go visit you because my business partner lives there. But thank you so much for being part of this, brother. We're gonna be doing stuff together. Hopefully more often. I think this was
Yeah.
ended up being a really good one. Guys, any more questions? Anything you guys want? Type it in the chat. Like, we're here. We're putting some time for you guys. Anything, lead gen, sales, like, we got it. We got the perfect combination. So
I got a question, John. So I was playing around in school and I saw
Yeah.
something where people can apply for NEPQ job or something. You guys have
Yeah.
NEPQ certified
Yep.
reps? Really? Okay.
Yeah. So this is what we have. So if you get into our inner circle program, which is for people doing over, $15,000 a month consistently, so you would qualify for that. Anybody that's like new that gets in the school community that's not looking to build a wholesale business, but we have people that just want to get better at sales that work for wholesaling businesses. What they can do is they can apply to work for one of our advanced inner circle companies, and then they get the free advanced group training. So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that, looking at some of the advanced group stuff. And then people that apply through school, we get people that apply every day. I just send them out and say, hey, this person's hiring for reps right now. They have to be already NEPQ trained. So they have to go through, I believe it's 3 months of school or Jeremy's 3.0 portal or inner circle, like one of those three. They have to complete it. Once they complete it, they can apply to go work for another company.
Cool. And Esteban, you guys help place those guys?
We should, bro.
Are you
yeah, we actually have a partnership of acquisition managers. We call it huntclosers.com. So we actually find acquisition managers for people. Let me just type it here. And I mean, obviously, like a lot of these people, they come in with their own sales experience, but in order to actually get them into NEPQ, well, I guess it's a process, right? But I mean, I guess some of them already have NEPQ. We can always headhunt as much as we can, but yeah. Remote Latinos and Hunt Closers are essentially the same company. It's just another division that we haven't launched publicly. Okay, cool.
And
now
Esteban, we can talk to you about getting your remote Latinos and your Hunt Closers into NEPQ training, because I love what you're doing. So if you want to talk about like some way that we can get them in there so they can get like a hybrid, you and I can connect offline and figure out a way we can do that.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm glad. Glad to have done this masterclass, guys. Yeah, just to clarify, Hunt Closers finds American Canadian closers can find American Canadian closers, and remote Latinos find Latin American, you know, offshore, overseas, right? So, all right. I think that's it, guys. I absolutely love this first part of the series of NPQ.
Yeah. We got to do some objection handling next time, guys. If Esteban has me back, we'll go over objection handling next time, because now that you guys have like the fundamentals, objection handling is deadly. I can teach you guys some savage stuff with objection handling.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for assisting here, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, John. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.